Welcome to Talking Hip Hop. I'm your host, JustKeekz, and today's guest is GHOSTBOYRJ'S.
Gotta like the catalyst to rev up any activist, yo. Your flow's inadequate to master in the manuscript. Sure, I'm talented with a fraction of cannabis. You can see the passion from the immaculate strategist. Applying this game and it seeming like he ain't even in his final form, but it's still intriguing while these rappers still living off deceiving the audience. Control of the perception just way too obvious. Yeah, man, yeah, it's looking like you bought your stream. Numbers going up and still nobody sees.
Co-founder of Ghostown Records, GHOSTBOYRJ, also known as King Casper, is a music producer and rapper raised in Brampton, Ontario. His journey with music began at the tender age of 12. He learned to play musical instruments such as the tuba, bass guitar, and upright bass. His love for poetry and hip-hop music sparked his interest in wanting to create music. His debut album, Behind the Light, will be released in June. Produced by Switch B, the album will display the many sides of King Casper. Please welcome to the show, GHOSTBOYRJ.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sitting here and chatting with me today and your time. We have so much to unpack.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to begin with the question I feel like if viewers are watching from home, they would want to know. What first got you into music production and rapping?
So, I would say it's kind of it's a nice story.
Okay.
Because they're both adjacent paths that just ended up merging together. I would say when it comes to rapping, that was the earliest thing in 2016 I started doing. That transitioned over from poetry, doing spoken word. I used to perform pieces at like my high school's winter concerts, or wherever I got the opportunity because I was also doing live music. And since I had the opportunities in band, I was able to translate those over. And I seen the impact that they had on people in terms of how words really affect. And it was just amazing. And I was like, you know what? I have to take another step. So Unity, shout out to Unity. It's a charity organization in Toronto and just like all over the GTA. They focus on the fundamental elements of hip hop. And when they came to my school was around the same time I was making that transition. So it gave me direct inspiration to do what I wanted to do. And that same day, I met Switch B because he was actually doing a school assembly with the rest of like the people that we had on that roster at the time. And I was chosen from the crowd to take him to his classes to do his workshops. So I think that was like the first time I had something written. So I showed it to him. He was like, oh shit, like you should continue on with this, you know? My first ever track technically, but it was not like where I am now, but at the same time, he seen the effort and he encouraged it and gave me mentorship later on. When it comes to production now, that's something that I got back into 2019. I would say I definitely had more experience in instrumental music solely based off of, just like you were saying, me understanding tuba, bass, upright bass, and just trying to make sure that like overall I have a good backdrop in order to do what I want. Because after I started rapping, the main thing that you run into as an artist is, okay, what producers have the time to really help you develop your sound? So because I had the mentorship from Switch and I was already doing stuff on my own in terms of learning how a lot of things work, I was able to translate that, develop a sound, and understand how to use both of those in unison with each other. So my production as well as the songwriting, that being able to build up.
Yeah, so it seems like music, it wasn't something that you were actively trying to pursue. It felt like it just kind of came to you, like it fell into your lap, which is very interesting because a lot of times with artists that want to pursue music, most of the time they're looking for it, but it feels like this was so meant to be.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, you went to school and then you said the Unity charity was there. And speaking of the Unity charity, you're very involved with them.
Yes.
Tell us more about it, what kind of work you're doing with the Unity charity, and how has it helped you develop as an artist?
So, in terms of my relationship with Unity, I would say first it started off with just attending their after-school programming in high school. I did that for grade 11 and 12. It was dope. It was super insightful. I got to do a lot of things that I haven't done before. It pushed me as an artist in order to be better, learn a lot in terms of the basics. It gave me a lot of foundation, which I was able to use to develop my sound. So I would say Unity had a very big hand or a big role in that. And I guess after I graduated, I was in school, still in school. But I was like, okay, if I'm going to be working, how can I give back? And because I got a lot from going to these after-school programs, I was like, okay, you know what? I can give back to the community by being a part of the roster. So around that same time, I finally reached out to Switch after showing him that first song, like when I was like in grade 11, moving towards, I'm 19 now, and I'm like, okay, instead of just hitting him up and being like, you know what, let's work, I just sent him 3 songs that I recorded on his beats. And we started developing that relationship. He was already working with Unity, and it was only natural that he was like, yo, like, if you want to get on the roster, I know that there's some coming opportunities that I can set you up with. So I applied, went through the process in terms of like the interviews, and everything was just making sense. So it started off in COVID, unfortunately. I wasn't able to actually like, teach in person for a bit, so I was teaching over Zoom. I was teaching spoken word, emceeing. I do like teaching beat making. I haven't taught a workshop for beat making when it comes to Unity as of yet, but even currently right now, I got to have the opportunity to do 2 seasons in a row for our MC workshop. I actually do that currently every single Friday from 7 to 9 at the Unity office, 1560 Yonge Street. Come out to that. And yeah, I love working with Unity because it doesn't even always have to be kids. It can be people around my age, but just the fact that people are willing to come out, learn,
and support.
That's what matters.
100%. And let's talk timelines, because you just said that some of this happened during COVID. So I know that you invested in a home studio equipment at the age of 16.
Yes.
Wow, because when I was 16, like all I was trying to afford was like food and clothes at the mall.
I hear that.
Here you are like, you know, you said, no, I'm going to invest in my dreams. Like I'm going to buy home studio equipment. Walk me through what that process was like for you and why you decided to buy home studio equipment.
So, just like I was saying before, in terms of the transition in between going from instrumental music and poetry towards production and artistry, it was like, well, first of all, shout out to my music teacher at the time. I'm not even gonna say her name because politics, but she really made me not like actually making music. And it was only because of the standardized way that they do certain things. So like, for example, I transitioned over to the tuba in high school because they didn't have any strings. And I was used to playing bass and upright bass. So I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. I wanted to play the flute. She was like, nah, you're playing the tuba. And I was like, okay, it was simple, but like over time, I guess she was kind of right, because like I was in junior and senior band from grade 9. So I was playing with 11s and 12s while I was in grade 9 with tuba, but I only just learned that year.
Yeah.
But it was only because it came easy. You're working with bass. it just gave me a resentment that I was like, you know what, I need to find a new outlet in order to still get this stuff out. So at the time, I was working 2 jobs. I was working at Dairy Queen. I was working at Silver City. And I also got a little bit of help from my dad because he seen that I was serious. So he seen that I was serious. I already had money ready. He's like, you know what, I'll help you out. I got speakers. I got my interface. Got my microphone, pop filter. The majority of all the things that I have inside my studio now, I got at that point. Over time, I've upgraded certain things, gotten more equipment to add on to my resources. But the reason why I did that was because there's no excuses at that point.
Yeah.
So like, if I really wanted to do this stuff, in order to do that, I have to be able to do it on my own regard. And sometimes that means, you know, cutting costs, doing it yourself. So even though at the time I wasn't able to like record music that was good enough to put out, it was more just like building a foundation so that when you go into studios, you're using your time efficiently and you're able to do exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that your upcoming album, Behind the Light, will be released later this month. With all that being said, what are some things people can expect from the album? So,
our first album that we put together called Concept City, we dropped that in 2020 in November. 2020 was actually a really busy year. I dropped like 6 projects that year just because I was like, you know what, I have so much stuff.
Wow.
But same thing, COVID, time, recording. All I did was literally work on my craft that whole time. And I would say right now, this body of work is just everything that we've done. And it's amazing because like, I didn't even know that, like, I didn't know the reason why our connection was so dope until like we started linking up and we found out that we were cousins.
Wait, let's stop for a second. So Switch B, the person kind of like your right hand, helping you produce your album. You guys, when you first met, did not know you were related, and then somehow you're getting along great. The vibes are there, and then you find out that he's your cousin.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So like, we were working together, Bear.
Yeah.
And one thing I always seen is that like with his full name, he has the same name as my mother's last name. So my natural last name is White. My full name is Rohan Kazar Bernard White. So when I seen that he had that name, I was like, okay, coincidence, you know, a lot of black people have the same last names, you know. But I think it was one day, I was like, yo, where's your family from? And he was like, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, no, nah, like you're lying to me. So I called my mom. I was like, Mom, do you have family in this area? Because that was oddly close to where my family is. And she's like, yeah. And I was like,
that is crazy.
Yeah. So we got his dad on the phone. My mom and his dad were talking for a bit. And yeah, we just connected the dots.
Wow, that's like super like meant to be. Because you didn't know that. Like,
didn't know that.
At all.
And I approached him that one time when I was 15 years old.
Wow. So Switch B if you're watching. Wow. So I do think, and again, when I spoke about earlier how music fell into your lap, like a lot of this stuff is working out naturally without you having to try.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty incredible. And I know that you are also a label owner and one of the co-founders of Ghostown Records. Walk me through what the process was like in the beginning when you decided, I'm going to create my own record label company, and how did that all begin for you?
Kind of like with everything, necessity. So it's like, you know what? Me as an artist, I have a lot of resources within my network or within different things I'm able to provide and offer. Or whether that be knowledge or tangible resources. I was like, okay, I have a lot of people around me, that can directly benefit from these resources and from this knowledge. What can I do in order to really make sure that all of us are good? So I thought about Ghostown Records, GTR. And definitely, although I founded it, I'm only a co-founder because this is a joint thing. Like, everybody that I have on the label has a share of the label.
Wow, I really like that.
Oh yeah, it's a different business structure. Because it's like, I'm looking out for everybody, and whenever we're doing things and we're investing into the label, we're directly investing into ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, now we're at a point where we've developed a lot of relationships. We've been able to really maneuver, do our thing. We've gotten sponsorships. We've been able to run a multitude of different events. And yeah, we're in the process of actually rolling out everybody on the label right now. So currently on the roster, we have Heartbeats as a producer. We have Saddam as a producer / studio owner. We also have 3 artists, one being Focus. He's actually more Afrobeat centric, directly from Nigeria. Actually came down here not too long ago. We have Kyle Genesis. He has a mixed bag as well, but definitely the same fundamentals as me, but also dabbles in the trap lane, also dabbles in like Detroit lane, as his family's actually from Michigan, so he goes back and forth from the States. And last but not least, we have Matches. So Matches, I actually grew up with him. He's an artist, same fundamentals as me. We actually developed our styles together because that was one of the main people I had to go back and forth with. And yeah, dope label. We have an amazing manager, 10K. Everybody's serious. Everybody's serious. We just got a videographer that we're going to link up more, and we have so much
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and we were talking earlier off camera about how much gigs you have coming up. You're like super booked and busy. And just yesterday, you had your album listening party, and it pretty much kind of was like an exclusive sneak peek of what your album is before it actually gets released. Tell us more about the experience and what inspired you to want to host an album listening party.
So, one, it went amazing. Shout out to Lalo for helping me have that there. 1144 College, they have events there all the time. Definitely want to make sure you come out to that. But the whole thing with me in terms of why, I feel like one thing that's missing in music right now is the world building when it comes to rollouts. I feel like everybody does the traditional PR, everybody does the traditional, okay, we're gonna go to these places, promote, put it on these pages, but I wanted to make it an actual intimate experience that you're a part of. So like, I wanted all these people in the room to really just enjoy themselves while the music was playing.
Wow.
Take in the music, digest it in a public setting, and overall just enjoy the company of the community that's there. Because from what we were able to see, that was great, was the pockets of people were all different. Usually what I'm used to is seeing specific pockets of people at different events that they're used to coming out to because their peoples are there. But this is the first time I got to see a multitude of different people from different communities in this one room being cool.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And like, what that really showed me is music really transcends everything, you know?
Sure.
And
we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for music.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah, it was just a dope experience to see how people were like really reacting to the music. I was able to get some testimonials because we're currently working on a documentary for it. Yeah, it was. I'm still kind of shook, to be honest.
Yeah,
like, I didn't.
It's still overwhelming. It just happened yesterday too, right?
It was really overwhelming because it was like, just in contrast, just to show you like a bit of the development. This time, exactly last year, I held a show at the same spot, Lalo. And it was for the label, to help introduce all of us. And the fact that I'm telling you about this now and you don't know about it shows the upgrade. We had like 7 people in the audience that day.
Really?
Only 7 people.
And then talk about how much people you had.
50 plus at yesterday.
Oh, hold on. Let's just say that one more time. This time last year, you performed at the same venue.
Same venue.
You only had 7 people attend.
7 people.
This time, this year, just yesterday.
Just yesterday.
You performed at the same venue and you had 50 people perform.
50 plus people came through to support.
How does that feel? Because that's a really remarkable like difference, you know?
Yeah.
That's a big 7 to 50. How does that feel? Like,
honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy how things are moving right now. Like, I'm grateful. All I really do this for is the community and to see the community giving back and showing love. Mm-hmm. That means a lot. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, that is a blessing, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's a big achievement.
Thank you.
And we talk a little bit about your album. We also talked a bit about your early beginnings with music, but how did you learn how to mix beats and produce and that side? Because we know you're a rapper and MC, but you're also a music producer. So essentially, once you purchased all your home studio equipment, what was the next steps?
So, very slept on. But whether you are a producer or not, the one thing I learned is to know what you're working with. Mm-hmm. So I just so happened to have a DAW, a digital audio workspace, that isn't very common. And because of that, I had no choice but to learn for myself. So many people usually use like Fruity Loops or like Logic or Pro Tools if you're an engineer, or Studio One. I have Cubase. Mm-hmm. Cubase, many people only use it outside of North America, but it's mostly only used for like electronic music or I guess more up tempos. But in order to really develop my style, I had to figure out, okay, how does this work? How can I do what I want to do on this? And then moving forward, translate that same process in terms of getting my style on anything else that I want to use. Mm-hmm. So I took some years learning how to do that. From 2016, I already had it. So I got an understanding of how to record first. After I got the recording, I learned a bit more about mixing. In terms of the mixing aspect of things or engineering at all, I wouldn't say I'm the sickest, but over time I was able to learn by having good engineers, seeing what they're doing, translating that over instead of just like commissioning them to like do the work and then having to do that for the rest of my life. I want to be able to engineer my stuff in the future. Yeah. So it's like really picking up and learning what they're doing. Same thing with being around producers. Like you see a lot of the stuff that they're able to do, and you see how you can recreate that in order to push the needle. Mm-hmm. So one thing I really like to do is I like to do flips. So I'll find a sample that might be popular or a sample that might be very obscure. And I'll take it, and what I do with it usually will dictate the vibe for how I want to like pursue it on a song. But it's just cool being able to produce, because like before I learned how to produce, there was just music in my head that I was like, okay, this sounds proper, but this isn't actual music. Like, this isn't a tangible song yet. Right. So when I had the outlet and the knowledge in order to really make what I was hearing in my head, everything came easy. Everything really just came easy, because now I have SP404 Mark II. That's what I use to produce now. I also do beat sets. Like I've done beat sets at Pattern Select, Loveless Cafe. Not a beat set at Loop Sessions, but I've created beats over there.
So what is a beat set? Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. Tell us, like, what is that?
So essentially, a beat set is, like, imagine instead of me coming out and I have a mic in my hand and I'm performing, you're gonna see me at a table, kind of looking like a DJ. I'll have my software right in front of me or my hardware right in front of me, and literally every single pad triggers a new beat.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I would literally just play my beats for the people to hear in like sets of like 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 10 minutes. Doesn't really matter. But it's really dope because like if there's artists inside the audience or potential people that may need the production, then boom.
That's a great like way to, hey, I'm making these beats, but you need some?
Exactly.
See what you did there. Yeah. So what intrigues you the most about hip-hop music?
I think what intrigues me the most is how real it is. I feel like people are able to really put in their experiences, but it's real enough to where you can do that while at the same time not having to like cater to a specific demographic. Because usually what you're drawing upon isn't suitable for all audiences, but at the same time, because it's so real, everybody can still relate to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was one thing that drew me in, like hearing Biggie spit in Suicidal Thoughts. I was so young when I heard that for the first time, but I was just like, oh my God,
He tells a story when he raps. Yeah.
Exactly. He tells a story. I can actually vividly see what he's trying to portray.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's important for me, you know?
Of course.
Like the visual aspect of things, like how your personality comes across in the music. Like all these things are very important. And I would also say, apart from everything, the biggest thing for me in terms of hip hop is how it makes sense musically. I would say that's what makes me who I am. Because anything I put out, like, although, yeah, bars are important, if it doesn't make sense musically, it doesn't resonate with me. So, like, there's certain production choices that I make when it comes to the songs I have, or there's specific tonalities or tonations that I use in order to get across certain moods or evoke certain emotions. And within all those limitations, the outside border or the frame of that is how does it make sense musically.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to do that, then I know that the end goal is going to be okay because it sounds good. If it sounds good and if it feels good, then what I'm trying to give is going to be digestible.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go over your head type shit.
Absolutely. I really like how you talked about that because it's not just about the lyrics. It's about how does this sound and pairing it with the good lyrics. Like there's a formula and a lot of times people don't really talk about it. It's just, oh, the lyrics are good. Just drop it on top of whatever beat. And it's really about how does it sound when you're listening to it at a party or a club, but also what are the lyrics saying? So that is very important and I guess underrated and overlooked.
100%.
Yeah, and you're multi-talented, multifaceted artist. You just talked about how you do beats and you're an MC, you're a rapper. What's next for you, or is there anything that you want to? And sorry, you're a label owner. I forgot to add that in the picture too. So what is next for you, or what is some things you want to accomplish that may be related to music or outside of music? What's next for GHOSTBOYRJ?
That's a great question. One thing, well, first I'm gonna get into the stuff apart from music. Like, for example, one thing apart from music that I'm actually probably gonna intertwine the music with, because one of my biggest inspirations for hip hop, Action Bronson. Also because when I was in high school at least, I was in school for culinary. So I have a hospitality background. I love to cook. Definitely want to have a show where I'm like putting together recipes that like
Nice.
you know
That'd
you
be kind of
can
cool.
yeah it'd be dope because I want to show people like sustainable recipes that you can have without balling on a budget.
Oh man, share that with me, cause share that with me.
For sure, for sure. That's one thing. Another thing I definitely want to tap in with more is acting, actually, and to be specific, voice acting.
Voice acting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You would like to be like the voice of a cartoon character, something like that?
Yeah, like a
Nice,
cartoon character. Like I really do resonate with a lot of anime. So
Okay, cool.
like definitely want to go to Japan, see how they do their processing, and like see what I can take back and implement into what I'm doing. And in terms of the music, one thing that I'm trying to line up right now is it was actually in the works, putting together a tour for the label.
Wow.
So
Exciting.
currently working on that. Also rolling out the rest of the artists. Everybody is stocking up right now. It's amazing. Like my goal for the top of the year last year was for all my artists to have at least 30 songs in the vault because we work.
Did they achieve it? Do they have 30 songs in the vault yet? Or are you coming close?
It could be more.
Ooh, more than 30 songs.
It could be more than 30 songs in the vault right now.
That's really good though.
Yeah,
because I was talking to someone earlier today, and for those that don't know, people do know, I love Tupac. I'm obsessed with Tupac. But he died at 25, and he put out so much music, like probably more music than someone who's been doing music and is alive for years. Like the amount of, there's probably unreleased songs we haven't heard from him. And it was just like, you know the saying, we all have the same 24 hours within a day. But what Pac did was like, he literally like, he had so much going on. He was in prison. His mom was going through her personal struggles. She was a Black Panther. He got shot. And during all of this, he's still putting out music.
Yeah.
So I was saying like, well, what's our excuses? So when you just said that your goal is to have the artists on your label put out at least 30 songs in the vault, like that's incredible. Talk about what triggered you to wanna have your artists have that many songs out there.
Quality artist development. The more and more you're in the studio, the more and more you're developing yourself as an artist. Having those 30 songs in the vault doesn't mean all 30 of those songs are going to come out.
Yeah. Elaborate on that. That's important. That's important.
It's really important because it's like a lot of people feel like you have to have a large quantity of music in order to appeal to a demographic.
Yeah.
But like, if you're dropping just quality stuff and just maybe once a quarter, dropping a single or like maybe like an EP or something, you're spoon feeding your audience now.
Yeah, because now they want more.
Exactly. If you're giving them quality, they're gonna want more.
You're dropping the gems. Yeah.
So now with all my artists, because they were able to make that goal, like their pens are sharper. You know, their execution is better. And naturally, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Like for me, in terms of me personally, I gave myself the same goal. But I've been recording for a long time. So like now, I would say, like, although I'm dropping this album, apart from this album, I have at least 3 EPs.
Wow.
So
Already
like,
ready to go.
Ready to go.
Wow.
So I want to build out this rollout, do it properly. So in terms of like the last things that I have that I'm working on is just everything's focused on the album. Gonna do some more shows. Like I have performances every week leading up to the actual June 22nd show, which you can go actually check me, J.O. Mayers, Eric Gordon, Mike Fate B, Degree, and Return to For Never, which is Switch B and KO Strat at 3030 Dundas West, June 22nd. Pop out, get your tickets. I'll make sure to drop a ticket link in the bio. And Yeah, no. That's one thing that was magically put together. Just like you were saying in terms of how it just fell into my lap. It was like, we got a good grant. Shout out to Unity for helping us out with that. So that's gonna be a partnership with Unity. TD helped with the funding. We got some funding from Loud Army. Shout out to Loud Army, great business partners for Kamani, as well as Young Animal, which is one of the cooks actually at the 3030, and we were able to raise so far $42.50 in order to make sure this is put together. So right now, overhead is perfect. We have nothing but resources and an ROI to put back into the label to make sure that we're sustaining ourselves. And post-album, it'll be, you guys are getting the documentary for everything that's happened in terms of like both the listening, the actual like the show, and everything that I've been doing within the past year. Because I want to show people behind the light.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. Behind the Light, title of your EP, and then you're showing people. It's all connected.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes. So tell the people at home where they can go to follow you, where they can go to stream your music, what exciting projects you have coming up, all that good stuff.
Behind the Light, June 23rd is the official release where you can get that on all DSPs under GHOSTBOYRJ. That's GHOSTBOYRJ, all one word. You can use that to see me on YouTube, all streaming platforms, all social media. And yeah, look out for the album. Come to the show, get your tickets. Early bird tickets are out right now. And yeah, just look out for GTR. We got this tour that we're working on. So if you want us to come to a city near you, let me know. We can pop out. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time and coming through on the show.
Thank you.
I definitely appreciate it. Yes, make sure to check out GhostBoyRJ on all social media platforms, on his Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff. And you can check out his music and the exciting projects he has coming up. I'm your host, JustKeekz. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, keep talking hip hop. Peace.